The GPS lost signal about 20 minutes before we reached the campsite, leaving Curtis to navigate by memory and a worn, creased paper map. I watched his hands tighten on the steering wheel every time the truck hit another pothole along a road. That looked more like a hiking trail than anything meant for vehicles. "You sure this is right?" I asked, peering out the windshield at trees that seemed to press closer with each passing mile. "Trust me," he said, downshifting as we climbed another steep grade. "I researched this place for weeks. No crowds, no RV, parks just us, and nature in the back seat." River wind impressed his nose against the window. Max and Luna had long since given up looking outside, collapsed in a tangled heap of dog limbs, resigned to the ride. The truck jolted over another rut, and I grabbed the door handle for balance. "When you said remote, I thought you meant fewer people," I muttered. "Not like we're driving to the edge of the earth." Curtis shot me a quick glance, his excitement mixed with something else I couldn't quite place. The apartment hunting wore us both out. We need this. He wasn't wrong. 3 months of overpriced listings, paper-thin walls, and suspicious stains had left us both exhausted. Still, as the trees grew denser and the road narrower, I wondered if we'd pushed too far in the opposite direction. The campsite appeared subtler, clearing beside a river rushing hard enough to drown out the truck's engine. Curtis parked near a circle of blackened stones that had once been a fire ring. I climbed out, stretching my stiff legs. "This is it," I said, the words sharper than I intended. "Look at this place." Curtis spread his arms wide, grinning. "When's the last time you heard water that clean?" The river glimmered, clear enough to see the stones beneath its surface, with a deep pool about 50 yards downstream where the current slowed. Mountains rose around us, their peaks lost in the clouds. No power lines, no traffic, no neighbors shouting through the walls. It was beautiful, I had to admit. River bounded out the moment his door opened, nose down, circling the clearing like he was mapping it. Max and Luna followed more cautiously, staying close to my legs. "It's gorgeous," I said, "but we're really in the middle of nowhere. That's the point." Curtis pulled our tent from the truck bed. No distractions, no stress, just us. Out of habit, I checked my phone. No signal, not even one bar. The screen felt dead in my hand. "What if there's an emergency?" "There won't be," Curtis replied, shaking out the tent fabric. "I brought the satellite phone, remember? For actual emergencies only." I noticed River standing perfectly still at the river's edge, ears pricked, staring across the water. His body was tense, locked onto something I couldn't see. I called his name, but he ignored me until I raised my voice, then trotted back, though he kept glancing over his shoulder. We set up camp 30 feet from the water, close enough to hear the river, but safe if rain swelled the banks. Curtis worked with practiced efficiency, staking down corners while I unpacked sleeping bags. The routine felt good, purposeful in a way apartment hunting never had. "I'm taking the dogs swimming," I said once we'd finished. "They need to burn off the car ride." "Good idea, I'll get firewood." The pool downstream was perfect deep, with a gradual slope where they could wade in. Max and Luna splashed happily, chasing each other through the shallows, but River swam toward the middle, barking sharply toward the opposite bank. Each time he returned, he whined and went back out again, as though something out there unsettled him. His echo bounced off the mountains, carrying farther than it should have. "Enough," I called. Reluctantly, he obeyed, pacing the shoreline, with low growls while the others played as if nothing was wrong. His unease gnawed at me, and I cut our swim short. Back at camp, Curtis had gathered enough firewood for days and arranged the site neatly, almost civilized. "Everything okay? You're back quick." River's acting weird. Keeps barking at the other side of the river. "Probably, dear," Curtis said, glancing toward the woods. New territory, new sense. It was logical, but River was trained. He didn't bark at wildlife unless given permission. I let it go. That night, we cooked hot dogs over the fire as the sun slipped behind the mountains, the sky painted in shades of orange and pink. Curtis pointed out constellations as the stars appeared, names I half remembered from high school. Astronomy, the fire crackled, sparks rising to join the sky full of stars. This was a good idea, I admitted. I forgot how quiet the world could be. "Told you," Curtis said, smiling. For more days of this, the number sat oddly with me. For days in the city could vanish unnoticed. Out here, with nothing but sunrise and sunset, it felt much longer. River lay close to the fire, ears swiveling constantly toward sounds I couldn't hear. Max and Luna had already curled into a furry pile near the tent. I found myself asking, "You really think this place is safe?" Curtis gave me a steady look over the flames. Safe from what? Bears, getting lost. The trucks. Fine, I've got maps and a compass. Stop worrying. That's the point of being here. He was right, of course. I was letting city anxiety bleed into the woods. The fire was warm, the stars brilliant, and we had everything we needed. I tried to let go when we crawled into the tent around 11. River came inside instead of sleeping by the fire. He curled up against me, Luna pressed on the other side. Just as I was drifting towards sleep, River made a sound low, caught between a growl and a whine. Through the tent wall, Curtis's flashlight clicked on, sweeping across the clearing. "What is it?" I whispered. "Nothing." Thought I heard something. The beam lingered on the trees before flicking off again. River's fur stood on end beneath my hand, his breathing quick and shallow. I lay awake, listening past the rush of the river for the faint sounds. I thought I heard branches snapping, maybe footsteps. River would settle for minutes at a time before tensing again, his body vibrating with quiet warning. What had felt like peaceful privacy earlier now seemed like isolation. No cell service, no neighbors, no help if anything went wrong. The nearest town was 40 minutes away over twisting mountain roads. I checked my watch again, 1:47 in the morning. 4 more nights here. When dawn came, I woke to the smell of coffee and Curtis moving outside. The tent glowed pale orange with sunrise. River was already gone, likely let out with Curtis. Crawling out, stiff from the ground, I found him by the stove, binoculars raised, eyes fixed across the river. "See? Anything interesting?" I asked. He handed me the binoculars. "There's someone on that ridge. Been standing there since I got up." I followed his pointing finger toward a tree-covered slope. Through the lenses, I found it a figure among the pines, perfectly still, facing our direction, too far to make out details, but unmistakably human-shaped. "How long?" I asked, lowering the binoculars. 10 minutes, maybe longer." He poured coffee into tin cups, just standing there, not moving. I looked again, but the ridge was empty. The figure was gone. "Maybe another camper," I suggested, scouting before they set up nearby. "Maybe," Curtis said, though he didn't sound convinced. We ate breakfast. River stood rigid at the camp's edge, nose pointed toward the woods. Every few seconds, he took a step forward then stopped, as if blocked by something unseen. Afterward, I tried walking him along the riverbank, but he kept pulling toward the forest, the fur along his spine bristling. Each time I corrected him, he resisted, planting his feet, whining, and glancing back toward the trees. River glanced at me, then back toward the trees. His whole body trembled with tension, like he was fighting every instinct to bolt into the woods. "Fine, we'll go back," I muttered, tugging his leash. But even at camp he wouldn't settle. He paced the clearing in tight loops, stopping now and then to stare into the forest as if he saw things I couldn't. Curtis was locking our food into the rented bear-proof containers, double-checking each latch. "You think we should pack up? Head home early?" I asked. Curtis froze with a bag of trail mix in his hands because of one person on a ridge. "They're probably long gone." "It's not just that. River's acting strange, and this place feels..." I cut myself off. I didn't know how to explain it. What had felt like peace yesterday now pressed down like the mountains themselves were watching. Saying that out loud would have made me sound paranoid. "Nothing, you're right. Probably just another hiker." Curtis nodded and went back to securing the food. We drove 3 hours to get here. I'm not letting one weird encounter ruin the whole trip. That afternoon, he crawled into the tent for a nap while I sat by the firing, reading. River lay at my feet at last, but his ears twitched at every noise. The forest was quiet except for the steady rush of the river and the occasional bird call. I was turning a page when something shifted at the edge of my vision. Movement in the tree line where the pines pressed closest to camp. I looked up, seeing only shadows and trunks. River's head snapped in the same direction, a growl vibrating through his chest. "What is it, boy?" I stood, walking 20 feet toward the trees. The shadows there seemed darker than they should have been. "Hello." I called anyone there. No answer. Just wind in the branches and River's growl behind me. I was turning back when I saw a tail color, quick and deliberate, ducking behind a pine maybe 50 yards deep in the woods. Not an animal, too controlled. "Hey," I shouted, "I can see you." Silence. But River lunged toward the spot, hackles up, barking furiously. I rushed to the tent and shook Curtis awake. He stumbled out, groggy. "What's wrong?" "Someone's in the woods." I saw them duck behind a tree. That sobered him. He grabbed his binoculars, studied the trees, and frowned. "I don't see anyone." "They're hiding," I insisted. "But they're there." "Are you sure it wasn't shadows?" "Light tricks. I know what I saw." Curtis was quiet for a beat, then went to the truck and pulled out his hunting rifle. I'd seen him clean it before, but never load it. He moved with practiced confidence, the metallic click of the bolt sliding shut, making my stomach knot. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Being careful. If someone's watching us, I want them to know we're not helpless." "Maybe we should just leave," I said. "Find another campsite." He slung the rifle over his shoulder. "We're not running away because someone might be out there. This is public land. We have every right to be here." Still, his hand never strayed far from the grip, his eyes scanning the tree line. River pressed against my legs, growling into the gathering dusk. That night, I jolted awake to River's bark, sharper and more furious than I'd ever heard. My watch glowed to 47 a.m. Curtis was already moving, flashlight in hand. Through the tent wall, a strange white light glowed between the trees about 30 feet away. Not a flashlight beam, not a phone screen. Pure white, bright enough to cast. Long shadows through the fabric, drifting as if it floated. "What the hell?" Curtis whispered. Then came the sound, rapid clicking, metallic and precise, like spoons on a tin can, but far too controlled. River's barking turned frantic. I clutched his collar to keep him from lunging out. Curtis reached for the zipper, rifle ready, but I yanked him back. Don't, just watch. The lights circled our campsite in perfect, even arcs, always the same distance, always the same height. The clicking grew louder as it passed closest, breaking into deliberate bursts short. Long, silent, repeating, patterns within patterns. Not random noise, almost like language. Max and Luna pressed against me, trembling. River strained against my grip, barking until his throat rasped. The light completed a second circle, then a third. On the third, it stopped across from the tent, no more than 25 feet away. The clicking escalated, layered and overlapping, until it hurt my ears. Then, silence. River froze, hackles rigid, no sound at all. That silence was worse than his barking. The light shot upward, racing up the mountainside faster than anything human could move. The clicking faded with it, echoing off the rocks, and then the forest was empty again. Curtis sat frozen, rifle across his knees. Drones, he muttered, but his voice shook. Has to be drones. Forest Service, surveillance equipment. At 3 in the morning, I asked. Wildlife monitoring. They use all kinds of tech now. I wanted to believe him, but the clicking echoed in my memory. Too structured, too deliberate. It hadn't just been noise. It had been speaking. We didn't sleep again. Curtis kept the rifle across his lap. I held River as he trembled against me. Every sound outside, the wind, the river, a branch breaking felt wrong, like the forest itself was listening back. At dawn, I crawled out to search the area where the light had lingered. The ground showed nothing. No tracks, no disturbed leaves, no sign of anyone moving through. Find anything? Curtis asked, emerging with the rifle still in hand. Nothing, like no one was ever there. He paced the clearing, scanning the ground, while I tried to reset some normal routine with the dogs. That's when he called me over. Destiny, look, our cooler sat beside the truck where we'd left it, but the bear-proof locks hung open, not broken and latched. Someone had known exactly how to work them. Half our food was gone, the meat, the jerky, the hot dogs, while the bread, fruit, and trail mix remained untouched, neatly arranged as we'd packed it. Bears can't open these locks, Curtis said grimly. That's the whole point. And bears don't sort food, I added. This was selective. The thought of someone moving around our camp while we slept made my skin crawl. But the alternative, that the light and the missing food were connected, seemed worse. We should leave, I said. Today, because someone stole hot dogs. Curtis asked, because everything about this place feels wrong. River's been unsettled since we got here. That figure on the ridge, the light, now this. Curtis was quiet a long time, weighing the rifle in his hands. Finally, he nodded. After breakfast, we'll pack up. But even as he agreed, his eyes lingered on the tree line, searching for a pattern that made sense. The clicking still pulsed. In my head, too complex to dismiss, too purposeful to ignore. Whatever it was, it knew we were here by noon. As Curtis fought with the camp stove for the third time, the thought hit me hard. We needed supplies anyway. We needed more propane, fresh food to replace what had been stolen, and maybe some batteries for the flashlights. I'm going to town, I announced, standing up from my camp chair. We need stuff. Curtis looked up from the stove's stubborn burner. What kind of stuff? Food. The good stuff got taken, remember? I gestured toward our sad pile of supplies. And I want to ask around, see if anyone else has had problems in this area. Ask around about what mysterious lights and missing hot dogs. I could hear the skepticism in his voice, but beneath it was something else, maybe relief. The thought of leaving the woods, even for a little while, appealed to him too. About anything weird. Break-ins at campsites. People acting strange, I said, grabbing the truck keys from the picnic table. You coming or staying? Curtis glanced toward the forest where we'd seen the light disappear. I'll come. Don't want to leave you driving those roads alone. The drive to Millbrook took 40 minutes on winding roads that looked like spaghetti tossed on a map. Curtis gripped the door handle on every curve, and I couldn't blame him. The drop-offs were steep, and the only thing between us and the edge were painted lines and prayers. River Road quietly in the back seat, calmer the farther we got from camp. His breathing returned to normal, and the constant whimpering that had been driving me crazy since yesterday finally stopped. Millbrook was the kind of place that existed because someone had built a gas station 50 years ago, and businesses had sprouted around it like mushrooms. The general store sat beside an old diner that looked like it hadn't updated its menu since the Carter administration. A few scattered houses dotted the hillsides, their yards filled with rusted cars and wood piles. The store's bell jingled when we walked in. Behind the counter sat a woman with grey hair pulled back, her hands weathered from real work. She looked up from her magazine. "Help you folks." "Just need some supplies," I said, grabbing a basket. "Camping up at Devil's Creek." Her expression changed, just slightly, but enough that I noticed. The friendly clerk looked slipped into something more guarded. "Devil's Creek, huh? You folks been up there long? 2 days, planning to stay through the weekend?" I picked up a package of hot dogs, trying to sound casual. "Beautiful area, very private." "Private, one word for it," she muttered. "Her name tag," said Denise. She came out from behind the counter. "Mind me asking exactly where you're camped?" "By the river, about 3 miles up the dirt road from the highway." Denise's face went still. "That's Devil's Creek proper, right at the bend where the water pulls up." "That's right, you know it." "I know it." Her voice dropped. "Locals don't camp there. Haven't for years." I stopped pretending to shop and looked at her. "Why not? You had any trouble up there? Anything unusual?" I hesitated. I could lie, pretend everything was fine, or I could trust this woman who clearly knew something. Someone's been watching us. And last night, something took food from our cooler, opened the bare locks like it knew exactly how they worked. Denise nodded, like it confirmed something she'd already believed. 3 hikers went missing up there 2 summers ago. Search and rescue found one of them wandering on the highway 3 days later. But he wasn't right. "What do you mean?" "Dehydrated, sunburned, talking nonsense about pale figures in the woods. Said they made clicking sounds like insects, but louder, much louder. His name was Jeff Hall, knew those mountains better than anyone. But after they found him, he kept going back up there, kept insisting something lived in those woods that shouldn't be." Curtis pretended to look at fishing lures, but I could tell he was listening. "What happened to him?" "His family had him committed. Said he couldn't stop talking about monsters. But I knew Jeff Hall. He wasn't the type to make things up." Denise lowered her voice. "He's been in a facility down in Riverside ever since. Still calls here sometimes. asking if anyone else has reported strange things at Devil's Creek. Chill went through me, and have they? Not many people camp there anymore. Word gets around. But yeah, occasionally someone mentions lights in the woods, weird sounds. Most folks just pack up and leave. I thought about the mechanical clicking we'd heard. Did Jeff say what the sounds were like? Like metal tapping metal, fast, from different directions at once. Like whatever was making it was coordinating. She studied my face. You heard something like that? Curtis stepped closer. Last night something circled our camp with a bright light, making those clicks. Lasted 20 minutes, then disappeared up the mountainside. Jesus, Denise whispered. You need to leave. Today, don't spend another night up there. We were planning on heading out tomorrow morning, Curtis said, but there was hesitation in his voice. Not tomorrow. Now, those hikers, they found their campsite torn apart. No bodies, just blood and other things. She pulled a manila folder from under the counter and spread photographs across the register. The campsite looked destroyed, tent shredded, cooler crushed, gear scattered. But what made my stomach churn were the prints in the dirt. Handprints, but wrong. Fingers too long, with too many joints. They never released these photos, Denise said. Didn't want to hurt tourism. But I've seen them, and I've heard Jeff Hall's stories. He wasn't lying. Curtis's face had gone pale. They're not human. No, they're not. Whatever's living up there, it's not natural, and it's territorial. I thought of River's strange behavior since we'd arrived. The way he tried to lead us away from the woods. Denise must have seen it on my face. Animals know, she said. They always know first. She rang up our supplies quickly. How much food you got left? Enough for tonight and tomorrow morning, if we're careful. Take extra. Don't cook anything. That smells strong. And whatever you do, don't leave your camp after dark. Not for any reason. As we headed out the door, she added one last warning. If you see lights in the woods tonight, don't investigate. Don't call out. Just wait for morning. The drive back felt longer than 40 minutes. Curtis missed our turnoff, and 20 minutes later, the GPS showed us in the middle of nowhere, just endless forest with no roads marked. How did we miss it? Curtis muttered, pulling over. I checked my phone, still no signal. Let's backtrack to the last intersection, as he put the truck in reverse. I saw movement in the trees. Something white, keeping pace with us, even though we were driving 30 miles an hour. Curtis, I pointed. Look, he hit the brakes. The thing moved in jerky motions, like a film skipping frames. 1 second behind a tree, the next 20 feet ahead, without crossing the space in between. It was tall, maybe 7 feet, its skin bone white, but we were too far to see details. Drive, I whispered. Just drive. Curtis pressed the gas, but it kept pace, slipping between the trees, always parallel to us. River whimpered in the back seat, the same pitiful sound he'd made at camp. Then suddenly, the thing was gone. Did you see? Curtis began, but I cut him off there. It stood in the middle of the road, 50 yards ahead. Curtis slammed the brakes, and we skidded to a stop 20 feet away, through the windshield. I saw it clearly for the first time. 7 feet tall, bone-white skin stretched tight over a skeletal frame. Its arms hung past its knees, ending in fingers with too many joints. Where its eyes should have been were only black holes, bottomless, an empty dot. It tilted its head at an unnatural angle, studying us. The motion was wrong, like its neck could bend farther than any human's. Back up, I whispered. Back up, right now. Curtis threw the truck in reverse, but the thing started walking toward us. Not running walking, but covering ground impossibly fast. Its movements jerky and stuttering, like reality itself couldn't quite keep up. Go, go, go. I shouted. Curtis floored it in reverse, tires squealing. In the side mirror, I watched the thing reach the spot where we'd been stopped. Then it turned to follow. We pushed the truck faster, finally putting distance between us and whatever that thing was. We found the turnoff just 5 minutes later, the same weathered wooden sign we'd already passed twice. Curtis gunned the truck down the dirt road, bouncing hard over ruts and potholes. Neither of us complained. At that point, all we wanted was to be back at camp, back to something familiar. But familiar no longer felt safe. As we rolled into the clearing, my eyes fell on our tent, our fire ring, our neatly organized gear. For the first time, it all seemed fragile, exposed, vulnerable. River leapt out of the truck, circling the perimeter with hackles raised, nose low to the dirt. He'd seen it too. He knew what it meant. Curtis didn't move. He just sat in the driver's seat, hands locked around the wheel. Finally, he exhaled. We're leaving, first thing in the morning. We're done here, I nodded, but morning felt like a lifetime away. The shadows gathering at the tree line whispered otherwise. The thing on the road haunted me. Every blink brought its eyeless face back, those black holes, that impossible tilt of its head. Curtis's knuckles were white on the steering wheel the whole way back, and neither of us spoke until the truck idled to silence in camp. We should pack now, I urged. It's already 4:30, he muttered. The mountain roads are bad enough in daylight. At night, one wrong turn, and we're over a cliff. I wanted to fight him on it, but he was right. The forest felt like a trap, but so did the winding road. Either way, we would pray. River pressed against my leg, trembling with a fear I'd never seen in him before. He whimpered constantly, eyes fixed on the trees, refusing to stray more than a few feet. At least help me prep, I said. We need everything ready to load fast. Curtis agreed. We worked in silence, stuffing gear, breaking down chairs, flinching at every normal sound the woods made, birds settling, branches swaying, shadows stretching long like fingers across camp. Curtis kept the rifle within reach, his eyes scanning the tree line every few minutes. I'm building the fire bigger tonight, he announced, hauling twice the wood he normally would. Keep it burning till sunrise. I didn't argue. Fire meant light. Fire meant hope. We set our chairs with our backs to the flames, facing the darkness. River curled between us, ears twitching, body shaking. His constant whining gnawed at my nerves, but I knew he was right to be afraid. That's when I heard it again, the clicking dot at first. It was faint, like fingers drumming metal. But then it grew, patterns, layers, from the left, then the right, answering each other in rhythms that felt too deliberate to be random. A language. Do you hear that? I whispered. Curtis's hand tightened on the rifle. Same as last night, but more. Lights appeared next. Not one beam, this time several, moving independently. For at least, maybe more, circling the camp, some low to the ground, others weaving through the branches above. Curtis, my throat went dry. The lights. He followed my gaze and froze. The orbs moved in sync, calculating, surrounding us. The clicking grew frantic, almost eager. Then the satellite phone rang. The shrill sound split the night like a blade. The lights stopped. The clicking stopped. The forest went deathly silent, as though listening. Curtis grabbed the phone. "Hello, Curtis. Finally. I've been trying to call for hours." Sadie's voice was painfully normal, cutting through the horror like a reminder of another world. "How's the trip?" He swallowed hard. "It's fine. Great, actually. I'm so excited to join you guys tomorrow. Got my gear packed. Weather looks perfect. What time should I head up?" I ripped the phone from his hand. Sadie, "Come. What? Why not? We've been planning this for weeks. There's been a change. We're leaving in the morning. Family emergency." She sounded hurt, confused, worried. I could barely force the lie out. But what else could I tell her? That something inhuman was stalking us. She'd think I'd lost my mind. "No, just stay home," I snapped. My voice shook. "Promise me, Sadie." After a pause, she reluctantly agreed. I ended the call before she could ask more. The phone went dead, and immediately the clicking began again. This time it was closer, gathering. The lights converged. 4 distinct glows shifting through the trees until I saw them dash shapes stock tall. Wrong, 3 figures stepped into the edge of firelight, pale as bone, with arms that dangled far too low. Their eyeless faces stared, black hollows drinking in the flames. River whimpered, glued to my leg. The one in the center moved first. Its mouth stretched open to wide, revealing, jagged, metallic teeth. The clicking poured out, rapid, mechanical, inhuman. Curtis raised the rifle. Instantly, all 3 cocked their heads in perfect unison, studying the gun with eerie curiosity. "Don't move," he whispered. "Don't run," and then they scattered. One moment, they were there. The next, they blurred into the dark, jerking, skipping through space like broken frames of film. We heard them above us, branches groaning under their weight. I grabbed the keys. Truck. Now, Curtis shook his head. Too far. They'd reach us first. The clicking started again, this time from directly overhead. Pale shapes shifted in the branches above, watching, waiting. River nearly ripped free from my grasp, wild with terror. I understood. Every bone in my body screamed at me to run. "What do they want?" I whispered. Curtis's eyes never left the treetops. "I don't know, but they're not leaving." The clicking built into a rhythm, faster, urgent, like a countdown, and then dash silence. It fell all at once, heavier than sound. Midnight. Only the fire cracked, only River's ragged breathing remained. And then I heard it, behind the tent, breathing. Slow, too deliberate. Curtis's flashlight beam caught the fabric of the tent, glowing orange. A shadow leaned against it, something tall, its head brushing the peak. Then a hand pressed into the fabric. 5 fingers, too many joints. Each one, bending where no finger should bend. It traced across the tent wall, like it was reading. Curtis raised the rifle, eyes fixed on the pale hand brushing against our shelter. "Get away from there," he shouted. For a heartbeat, the hand froze. Then it slipped back into the shadows. But the woods were alive, now movement surrounding us, footsteps that didn't quite sound human. Branches snapping in ways that made my stomach twist. Curtis fired a warning shot into the air. The crack rolled through the mountains, echoing back in waves. The response was immediate. Clicking, dozens of clicks, sharp and metallic, erupting from every direction at once. It wasn't just 3 or 4 anymore, they had been watching us. In silence, and the gunshot had triggered something. River broke from my grip and bolted toward the truck. River, no. Luna and Max, panicked, followed him. Their tags jingled as they sprinted across the clearing. I started after them, but Curtis yanked me back. Don't. 2 pale shapes dropped from the trees, straight down, like they'd been hanging there, waiting. Their twisted hands clamped onto Luna and Max. Both dogs yelped in terror. Curtis's flashlight caught them creatures hunched low over the dogs. One of them looked straight at us, mouth opening impossibly wide. Rows of needle-sharp teeth glistened in the beam. The clicking grew louder, rhythmic, mocking like laughter. Curtis fired. Black liquid sprayed as the bullet struck. The creature shrieked, a sound like metal scraping glass, but it didn't let go. With horrifying ease, it lifted Luna in one arm while the second creature dragged Max into the trees. River made it to the truck, clawing frantically at the door. His packmates' cries faded into the darkness, scintilled silence. Curtis's voice shook. They're gone. Luna and Max are gone. The clicking drew closer. Shadows shifted at the edge of the firelight, pale bodies slipping in and out of view, studying us, learning us. We can't stay here, I whispered. I grabbed our emergency bag water, first aid, essentials. Curtis knew I was right. His grip on the rifle was white-knuckled. River pressed against my legs, trembling. He sensed what was coming. On 3, Curtis said. Straight to the truck. Stay behind me. The truck seemed impossibly far away. My heart hammered in my chest. 1. A pale figure moved in the trees. 2. Curtis clicked off the safety. 3. We ran. The forest erupted. Curtis fired behind me, the echoes bouncing across the mountains. Screams followed us, metallic and inhuman. River bounded at my side. The truck loomed ahead. I fumbled the keys with shaking hands as something slammed against the metal. I shoved the door open and River leapt inside. Curtis dove in next, slamming his door as a creature's face pressed against the cracked glass, its black, endless sockets. Locking onto me. Drive, Curtis roared. The engine caught, but the truck didn't move. Something was holding us. In the mirror, I saw them. 2 creatures gripping the bumper, dragging us back like toys. Curtis fired. One screamed split, the night. I threw the truck into reverse, flooring it until something crunched beneath the tires. We broke free. More pale shapes lunged from the trees as we tore down the dirt road. Fingers scraped across the truck's sides, leaving gouges in the paint. One landed on the hood, its claws punching through steel. Scrape it off. Curtis pointed. I swerved against a pine, the impact tearing the thing loose. Its scream followed us into the night. When we finally hit pavement, I was doing 60 and climbing. Still, lights appeared behind us, not headlights, but the same ghostly white orbs that had circled our camp. They followed in perfect formation, gaining ground no matter how fast I drove. Then, as we crested the ridge, they fell back. One by one, the lights disappeared. Silence settled, broken only by River's frantic WHIMP RS. Hours later, under the sterile buzz of a diner's fluorescent lights, it almost felt like none of it had happened. Curtis sat across from me, untouched. Coffee in front of him, eyes still scanning the parking lot. Our truck sat under security lamps, dented, scarred proof that it had been real. We can't tell anyone, Curtis said finally. He was right. Who would believe us? Monsters in the woods. But I knew this wasn't over. The creatures had our scent, our faces burned into memory, and something told me we hadn't seen the last of them. Curtis was quiet for a long moment, so we just do nothing. Let other people walk into that he'd didn't answer, but I could see him working through the problem like he worked through code, searching for logical solutions to something that defied logic entirely. The drive home took another hour. River had stopped whimpering, but now he just lay in the back seat like a broken thing, staring at nothing. Every few minutes, he'd let out a soft whine that cut right through me. Our apartment building looked exactly the same as when we'd left 4 days ago, but walking up those familiar stairs felt like stepping into someone else's life. The hallway smelled like cooking and cleaning products, instead of pine trees and mountain air. Normal smells that should have been comforting but felt alien now. Inside, I went straight to the bathroom and turned the shower as hot as it would go. I scrubbed until my skin was red and raw, washed my hair 3 times, but I couldn't get clean. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those black holes where eyes should have been. Heard that metallic clicking that sounded almost like laughter. When I came out, Curtis was on the couch with his laptop, typing furiously. River lay in his bed by the window, ears alert, like he was listening for something. "What are you doing?" "Research." Curtis didn't look up. Missing persons reports from that area, geological surveys, anything that might explain what we saw. I pulled on clean clothes and sat beside him. The laptop screen showed a map of the mountains around Devils Creek marked with red dots. Too many red dots. 17 people in the last 10 years, he said. All in roughly the same area. Some were found, some weren't. The ones they found were like Jeff, whole dehydrated, incoherent, talking about things in the woods. The ones they didn't find, just gone. Search teams found torn campsites, blood, but no bodies. I thought about Luna and Max, how quickly those things had taken them, how their cries had cut off so suddenly. We should have tried harder to save them. There was nothing we could have done, Curtis said, closing the laptop. You saw how fast those things moved. Knowing that didn't make the guilt any easier. River had lost his packmates, and we'd run. It was the smart choice. Only choice, but it still felt like abandonment. I checked my jacket pocket for my phone and felt something wet. My fingers came out stained black. The same dark liquid that had sprayed from the creature Curtis shot. Curtis. I held up my hand. This was on my jacket. He stared at the stain. From when I shot that thing, it got blood on you. It didn't smell like blood. It smelled like metal and something else, something organic and wrong. I went to the sink and scrubbed until my hands were raw, but I could still smell it. I'm burning this jacket. Curtis didn't argue. We went down to the apartment complex's fire pit and fed it to the flames, piece by piece. The fabric burned too fast, wrong somehow, with smoke that made my eyes water. When it was gone, I felt slightly better, but not clean, not really. River wouldn't eat dinner. I set his bowl down, and he just stared at it like he'd forgotten what food was for. When I tried to coax him, he turned away and pressed his face against the wall. He's grieving, I told Curtis. Dogs form pack bonds, losing Max and Luna. It's like losing family. Curtis nodded, watching River with the same worried expression he'd had since we left the mountains, like he was waiting for something else to go wrong. That night, I lay in bed, listening to Curtis breathe beside me, but sleep wouldn't come. Every time I started to drift off, I heard clicking in the walls. Rapid, metallic conversations that might have been the building settling or something else. I got up and checked on River. He was awake in his bed, staring toward the window with his ears pricked forward. When he saw me, he whined softly and looked back at the glass like he was trying to tell me something. "What is it, boy?" I pulled back the curtain and looked out. The parking lot was quiet. Our scraped truck, a few cars, nothing moving, nothing wrong. But River kept staring, his whole body tense. I was about to go back to bed when I saw them scratches in the brick wall outside our window. 3 parallel lines deep into the masonry, too high for anyone to reach without a ladder, and too precise to be accidental. I let the curtain fall and backed away from the window. River whined again, and this time I understood. They know where we live. 2 weeks passed before I could sleep. Through the night, Curtis installed new locks and bought a security system with cameras and motion sensors. He spent hours programming it, like he was building a fortress. We never talked about what happened, at least not directly, but I noticed him checking the windows after dark. Keeping the rifle nearby when he watched TV, he kept researching missing persons cases. I found the folder. He thought I didn't know about it. I looked up Jeff Hall, found articles about his breakdown, interviews with family members who swore he'd been normal before that trip. There was a photo smiling, holding a fish. He looked like Curtis, like me, like someone who'd never hurt anyone, never made up stories for attention. The clicking sounds came back in my dreams. Not every night, but often enough that I started drinking coffee after dinner. Anything to stay awake longer, Curtis noticed, but didn't say anything. He had his own ways of avoiding sleep. River still wouldn't eat properly. The vet found nothing wrong, but I knew what it was. He was waiting, listening for Max and Luna. Some nights I caught him staring at their empty beds, whimpering so softly I could barely hear it. "He's depressed," I told Curtis. "Dogs can get PTSD. Maybe we should get him a companion," Curtis suggested, "another dog." But I knew it wouldn't help. River didn't want a new packmate. He wanted the ones we'd failed to protect. The scratches on the wall had been painted over by maintenance, but I knew they were still there. Sometimes I'd catch River staring at the spot, ears forward, listening. 3 weeks after we came home, I started checking missing persons websites myself, looking for patterns. Campers who'd vanished along the route we drove back from Devil's Creek. I didn't find anything. Not yet, but I kept looking. Because something in me knew it wasn't over. They'd seen our faces, learned our scent. They'd taken Luna and Max, but let us go. That didn't feel like mercy. It felt like a decision. Like they'd chosen to. Let us live for now. The call came at 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday, jolting me from the kind of sleep I'd only just relearned. Curtis answered groggily. I rolled over and checked the caller ID, an unknown number, mountain area code. "This is Denise Hart from the general store in Millbrook," a woman's voice said, tight with fear. "I need to speak with Destiny Moore." Curtis handed me the phone. His face had already gone alert. "This is Destiny. I'm sorry to call so late, but I didn't know who else to contact. You remember Jeff Hall, the hiker?" My mouth went dry. The one who went missing. He broke out of the facility 3 days ago. Came straight back here to Devil's Creek. They found him yesterday morning, but he's not good. Covered in that black substance again. Barely coherent. Curtis leaned in and put the phone on speaker. Before he stopped talking completely, He gave me a message. Said it was for the couple with the dogs who got away. That's you, right? I looked at Curtis. He was as pale as I felt. What did he say? Those things you encountered, they're not from the woods. They live underground. In the old copper mine tunnels under the mountain. Jeff found their nest years ago. Said there were hundreds of them down there. The room went cold. I pulled the blanket tighter. He said they marked him. That's why he kept going back. They always knew where he was. Could track him no matter how far he ran. Why are you telling us this? Curtis asked. Because Jeff said they've been following your scent trail. 3 families have disappeared from campgrounds along your route home. The patterns. Moving closer to the city. Closer to you. My hands were shaking. What families? The Hendersons. 40 miles out. Their campsite was torn apart. Then the Williams family. 20 miles closer. Last week, the Kowalskis. Only 60 miles. From where you live, Curtis was already on his laptop. Same MO, Denise continued. Destroyed campsites. Blood, no bodies. Witnesses heard clicking sounds. Saw strange lights in the woods. They're hunting us, I whispered. I don't know how long you have, Denise said. But Jeff thinks they're close. Real. Close. There's something else, she added. Jeff said the mining disturbed things that should have stayed buried. That's when it started. How do we stop them? I asked. I don't think you can. Maybe you can run.